I turn on the recording.
Sure.
So maybe okay. And now, would you like to read the six?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Therefore, Asariputra, it is because of his non-attainmentness that a bodhisattva, through having relied on the perfection of wisdom, dwells without thought coverings. In the absence of thought coverings, he has not been made to tremble. He has overcome what can upset, and in the end he attains to nirvana.
Any comments?
Yeah, I mean,
Katya. Hi.
wonderful.
Hi, guys.
So we just read the six, of Heart Sutra. So maybe I can read it slowly for you again. Therefore, O Katya, it is because of his unattainmentness that a bodhisattva, through having relied on the perfection of wisdom, deals without thought coverings. In the absence of the thought coverings, he has not been made to tremble. He has overcome what can upset, and in the end, he attains to nirvana. Skylar, you want to say something?
I mean, just a question, like non-attainmentness is obviously a strange usage. That seems like that's something that has to be explained.
Yeah, I think it's Kansa here want to stay exactly the same as the Sanskrit, I think, and in the five we say there's no attainment, right? So here, after he says that, then they come to the no attainment, and also after so many metaphysics and every stuff, here it comes to a solution, kind of like. And I think this part is generally. So what does is all those said before means? It just means like in that case, if no attainment, then it can mean something for the life. And this passage is something to like notice. The first is, so the subject is a bodhisattva. We know it's an enlightened being. And because of his non-attainmentness, right? It's as Skala said, a very weird word. And then, and also relied on not something, not anything, but rely on the prajna paramita, the perfect wisdom, or the, say, the wisdom that gone beyond. And so one is kind of like a state, one is his means, one is the subject. And then he or she dwells in a state without thought covering. Yeah. Basically, if without thought covering, then he will achieve to a state which has no tremble. And if he goes through that and then can overcome what can upset and get the right way, say, and then so attain in the end attains the nirvana. I think basically it's the structure of this passage.
Yeah, I kind of wish Kansa had some notes on the like the modality that's involved here. So we get like because of his non-attainmentness and through having relied on the perfection of wisdom. It would be interesting to sort of grammatically what the Sanskrit behind those two words implies, because it's kind of strange to have a, you know, I mean, like in English, it's just like a vague causal, because, and then like an instrumental um, causal with like through. And so like the relationship just seems vague. I mean, maybe it's just vague in the Sanskrit, but.
You mean it seems to us like these causes have there are two causes, right? One is instrumental, so through, and the other is because of this. But this because of this means cause, right? I don't know.
Right. I think that's maybe the most intuitive way just to read the English, is that the non-attainmentness is the main cause. And then the prajna paramita is sort of, an instrument of that main cause. But it's, I don't know. I mean, in the Diamond Sutra, you get a lot of statements about the absolute importance of the prajna paramita. That's sort of like a necessary and sufficient condition, that's all you need.
And also these two like close related, right? Non-attainmentness is kind of like part of the emptiness, like, and or those three concepts: emptiness, non-attainmentness, and also prajna paramita. They kind of like the same thing, we can even say. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that seems like a way of sort of cutting through the Gordian knot of the problem. To just
Yes.
say they're identical.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sort of just enumeration, or like not like elucidations of each other.
In fact, what interests me the most is this without thought coverings.
What interested you about it?
Sometimes I think like maybe we can say words, right, or language are thought coverings. Or something like that. So what does thought covering means, right? And I think it's a long passage and was also very interesting here. Without thought covering. The Sanskrit compound asita avarana, and so maybe I can just read it. It's a fine example of manifold meanings packed into one short formula. A is of course not, without, or negation. Theta is either a thought, mental activity, or thought, spirit. So this one also does not so different on A and B, right? Just thoughts, or thought. The third one, avanrana, from the vuri, means obstruction, obstacle. I think the Chinese translation goes rather this way. So it's not thought coverings, but thought obstacles. So this passage then, this sentence then, without thought obstacles or impediment but here also covering seems to so neutral. And that's the basic meaning, but interesting is the interpretation. So Buddhistic tradition normally distinguishes three kind of impediments, then practical, normal, and cognitive, but they are not language, right? My first impression is he's talking about language, but in fact not. So three kinds of impediment is karma, impediment, which are the obstacles to spiritual development that arise from those wrong deeds of the past, which must still be, I don't know this word, and force us to live in unfavorable and inauspicious environment. So basically, just the obstacle for you to do some meditation, maybe. Like Scholar and I definitely are in this coverings. And the second is like greed or something, hate and so on. So this kind of like emotion. And the third is difficult. So it maybe just means cognition is illusion.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the cognitive impediments would be linguistic ones as well. I mean, unless you have a sort of view of cognition as non-propositional.
Mm. So you mean it's not only cognitive, or if it's cognitive and then it's also linguistic?
Yeah, I mean, there's a debate about the relationship between cognition and language, but it seems like there's a pretty defensible position according to which language is implied by cognition here.
So
I mean, like, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, just like the belief in the real existence of separate objects, I think it's hard to understand that without thinking about it as some kind of propositional belief or
Yes.
claim.
And if we use that to approach the reality, right, and then could also be interpreted as an obstacle or impediment. So if go that way, then this like this interpretation and this thought is then very, very deep, really. Yes, so here's which is most interesting for me. Thought coverings.
Yeah. But do you think coverings is too neutral?
At least because I get used to the Chinese translation. It's just everywhere's obstacles.
Yeah, I guess it has very different connotations. But coverings I also read as like negative in this context, if sort of the ideal is some kind of naked truth, then any kind of covering is a negative quality. But
or through the view of enlightenment, right? So if you have say a lamp and then you have a covering, right? If you want to really be enlightened, maybe you should move that stuff, right? Just coverings. And one stuff is here. because of his non-attainmentness, and here I think, or here later on he discusses about this how the preposition, right? Those stuff. What's the word of them? This is usually very difficult to translate, and his Kanza suggests this maybe could be translated into because of and also in spite of. So he said if people just got to understand the truth of non-attainmentness, so they will get trouble, or emptiness, to understand everything is in fact empty, what he has or around him, and then he will get to this truth, and this truth will make him tremble. And so in spite of this emptiness, still then if he can reach the state of no tremble, right? Then he overcome what can upset. The other interpretation, just because of this emptiness, so how, of course, if that's everything is empty, and also fear is empty, right? Your hope is empty, your suffering is empty. So everything is up. Then of course you don't need to tremble again. So of course you can overcome what can upset. And upset here really means, I think that literally meaning, which means upside down. Because if we read English direct, upset, it's just kind of like emotion, right? And what should we do today? I also read a little bit this comments, or just go ahead. What do you think?
I mean, I guess it depends on if we want to finish today, or if we're fine taking another session.
Okay.
I guess there's maybe a little bit too much to finish in one session.
Okay, we can see. Then maybe I think here we just addressed it shortly, right? Bodhisattva as subject, as also said, and perfection of wisdom, and we know this already a lot, right? It's repeated again and again. And here I find it a little bit difficult here, in fact, for me, because in the whole book and in the whole Buddhism, I think this is true in every Buddhism, like this emphasizes, like, do not seize on upon, right? There's no subject, there's no seize upon, and there's no object, and also there's no unsupported is the best, right? So if you have an idea that you are supported by something, or you support something, then that's a problem. But here you can say Bodhisattva dwells. For me, it's very close to, or at least the problem of seize upon and support also exists in this dwells, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's the paradox that Kanza is trying to point out in the comment, right?
Mm.
Or like the paradoxical quality of someone who's dwelling in emptiness, or like remaining stable where there's nothing to hold on to.
Exactly. He has only emptiness to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this one, Katya says a lot, in fact. Maybe Katya, would you like to read this passage?
Sure. The series of negations which make up section 5 does not add up to nothingness, but points the way to unique ultimate reality. This has so far been called emptiness, and it is found by perfect wisdom in an identity of subject and object. In one emptiness, the two are not distinguished, and each contains in itself all the 10,000 things. Where this ineffable oneness is spoken of, it may either be described as an object without a subject, or as a subject without an object. When viewed as an object without a subject, it is called suchness. When viewed from the subject side, the transcendental reality is known as thought only, because one and simple, free from duality and multiplicity, it is without a separate object. This thought or spirit forms the very center of our being. Chuang-Tzu had a similar conception when he said, "The work of the ear ends with hearing. The work of the mind ends with ideas, but the spirit is an emptiness ready to take in all things." More? Enough?
What do you have any thoughts about it? I think it's aligned with your experience and what you have heard about this activities, right?
Just because reading and thinking is not working at the same time.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it really is like in this two line saying, in one emptiness the two are not distinguished. So if you're empty, there's no inside, no outside, no being, but also you're still there, but you're also not there.
Mm.
And of course, the 10,000 things are also there.
Mm. Mm.
Sounds a bit weird, I know.
Yeah. And I think that's also very later on he says it's viewed from the subject or object side. This is in Buddhism a interesting, important one, understanding of oneness. So from the object side, it's the world as it is. So then there's no subject and it's only one. And from the view of the subject side, then the whole thought is one, and the whole world, in fact, then the stuff be in front of you are only your thought, right? Like, and then they are also one unity. Yeah. I don't know how to say those kind of monism.
Mm. Hmm.
I can continue reading also.
Maybe isn't way to read, because then you can think. What do you are free to choose, Katya?
No, it's okay. I just need a little bit of time to process.
Okay, do you have the time? So
Okay. Usually, this absolute thought is, however, obscured by the thoughts or mental activities of our surface mind. Thought coverings is just another term for ignorance, for the delusion, which all along had been held by Buddhist traditions to cover up the true nature of dharmic facts and to hide it from us. Ignorance throws over reality a veil of manufactured entities, all of which somehow contain the false idea of self, overclouding with their multiplicity the essential oneness of nirvana. It is, on the other hand, the task of wisdom to disperse the darkness of illusion, which covers up the own being of dharmas, and to discover what they really are. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's come all everything together, right? Thought covering, then it's a veil. So what you should, or illusion, or ignorance. So what you should do is discover, right?
Yeah, in a way to take away all those
Yeah.
ignorance, delusional, illusional thoughts you might have, or ideas or beliefs.
Yes, and especially this one.
Yeah, that one's a big one.
Mm.
And the hardest.
Yeah.
To the spirit in all external and internal objects, imaginary, false, sham supports, are obstacles, obstructions to vision, impediments to the free flow of transcendental wisdom. Our eyes blind, our ears deafen, our intellects stupefy us. Thoughts about anything that may fall under the skandhas, sense fields, and so on must cease for thought itself to find itself again. Whatever seems to feed that thought really chokes and hinders it. To get thought alone, purely by itself, then one is without thought coverings, emancipated in the supreme glory of a thought which refers to nothing definite at all and also leads to nowhere in particular.
Except this one, it's just Parmenides.
Yeah, if you have too many ideas about a certain subject, then there are so many ideas and thoughts about it that you might not grasp the essence at all. Or
Yeah, it's very hard. I don't know how to what what is my stance in this stuff. It's just too difficult.
Hmm.
I mean, if you hear like music all the day and want to meditate at the same time, and your neighbor is maybe making a lot of noise and stuff, you will have a hard time to arrive where you want to go. So
You
there's too
mean
much going on. This is just an external way of explaining it, but I think there's more going on.
so I totally agree the example you put up, like if your neighbor is like how to say that,
Drilling holes in the
yes,
wall or stuff like this, whatever.
that's you can you it's very hard for you to get your peace, right? But here I think he does not only mean that, like or even when you go out in spring to look at the flowers are blooming, right? That's also a delusion. I think he's really reflect on all perceptions and all thoughts. You can say that's internal objects. That's exactly what I say. So you think you want to peace, right? You want to internal peace. But this internal peace that you are wanting is also internal objects. So they are also imaginary force, sham sports, and also obstacles. And like philosophy is like our intellect stupefy us, you know. So you want to go get to some conclusion logically, and the Diamond Sutra told you that's not possible, or that's the wrong way.
Yeah. And there also has to be a reason why many monks and nuns seek solitude somewhere in the mountains where there's there's not a lot going on to distract.
Mm. Mm.
So you have to be more with yourself and
I
yeah.
see. So
Or
I think what you're saying is like the first, only the first layer. So you are
sure.
go to the mountains, so then you don't have a very loud neighbor, right? And you go to the mountains, so you don't have the traffic noises, and you also don't have those desires in the city, say the nightclub or something like that.
No
But
Wi-Fi networks, nothing.
yes. Yes, but here I think it's go more deeper. So he's
Sure,
talking about perception generally, not
of
only
course.
some part of the perception
These were just
or
some easy
disturbances. Yeah,
examples. Yeah.
yeah. Shall we go? What, Skylar, do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
I think I'll only be able to read 7, and then I'll have to go. But
Yeah. So we go through this one then,
okay, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also the most difficult part of this passage, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can read. In the absence of thought coverings, the Bodhisattva, finding himself all alone, faced with the absence of all thoughts, will, as long as he distinguishes himself from that state, be exposed to the anxiety which comes from the loss of support. As it is said in the Abhidharmakosa, The ordinary person cannot produce the highest trance, in which both perception and feeling are stopped, because he is frightened of annihilation. Similarly, the Prajnaparamita Sutras often discuss the anxiety which would result from their false nihilistic interpretation. Numbers 41 to 42 now deal with that difficulty. It is capable of two successive interpretations. In spite of the absence of multiple thoughts, there is no trembling. Once the bodhisattva and the absence of multiple thoughts are seen as non-different. When this is done, the last vestige of multiplicity disappears, and because of the absence of thought coverings, trembling ceases. For there is nothing left to tremble at, nor can there be anxiety of a cut-off separate being who might quite well go on trembling, even after there is nothing left to tremble about. It's a very dramatic note on which I must leave you to. But let me know how far you get, and if we're still doing the Heart Sutra next week, or if we'll already be at the Tao Te Ching by that point.
Okay. I was writing the chat.
Super. All right. Have a nice night, you too. Ciao.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
evening. Bye. Any comments?
The first part, that's definitely true. Not if the anxiety part. Because the ordinary person cannot produce the highest trance in which both perception and feeling are stopped, because he's frightened of annihilation. That sentence, yeah, that's definitely true, because that's not a normal state. You're not used to this, and of course you get frightened. And also you might, even if you arrive for a millisecond at that state, you can't hold it, because then your mind already starts working again, because that state is not A, not stable, and B, too unfamiliar to keep it. Too weird for normal people and beginners like myself.
I know a lot of people, including you, who are doing like meditation, but generally they all told me that they still don't achieve this like highest trance.
Yeah, it's a certain, there's a certain threshold you have to cross, and that one is scary. I think you can't do this alone. You need a teacher to help you, to guide you, to also give an example what it feels like, so that you can give a taste. Like some weeks ago we had the cucumber example. Like if you want to know how to taste what a cucumber tastes like, you have to eat it. You have to taste it. And a teacher can give you that kind of taste.
Yeah. So I just want to say then, so we don't need to be afraid of this, because it's very hard to achieve.
No, but even if you arrive there for like a millisecond, your ego doesn't want that state. Your ego, yourself, will do everything. And there's a lot of tricks going on. It will pull every single trick to avoid you going further, to keep you where in the known, in the box, basically.
So basically,
And
you are
doesn't want to
saying
go,
this
further.
this fear of annihilation is true. You just want to say, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The fear of death, of disappearance. That's the biggest fear of the ego, and it also doesn't want any change at all. It just wants to keep the person. That's why it's also so hard to do new things without a deep decision.
Mm. And so I can read the next part that can upset. The Sanskrit is vipariyasa, often translated as perverted views. This does not affect the meaning because we can never be upset by any fact, but only by our wrong interpretation of it. That is, when we try to make things do what is not in them to do. Traditionally, there are 4 perverted views which cover all attempts to seek or to find. The first perverted view is permanence, and second is, third selfhood, and fourth delight. In that which is essentially impermanent, inseparable from suffering, not linked to any self, and for repulsive or unlovely. So when people are upset and they perceive the impermanent as permanence, and they interpret suffering as ease, or selflessness as selfhood, or repulsive as delight. Akin to ignorance, the root evil, they can be viewed as missearches, looking for permanence, etc., in the wrong place, or mistakes, or reversals of a truth, or as overthrowers of inner calm. Missearch means then you want to find the permanence, or want to look for ease or internal ease. You want to seize upon a selfhood, and you want to be happy, or you want to have pleasures.
Or be at peace, but yeah, these are just all ideas.
Mm. Perverted views are on the level not merely rejected, but completely overcome or stepped above, when no longer any difference is seen between permanence and impermanence, is or ill, self and not self, delight and disgust. Change you how to view the world, and the whole upside down.
I don't really know what's like to be enlightened, but as far as I know, you see the world differently after. But I can't tell you how and whatever that feels like. It's just like you have a different kind of feeling for yourself, and all those ego things are gone because you have mastered the ego or overcome the ego. As far as I know, but that could be depending also on the Buddhist schools and stuff. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah. So the last passage, and in the end he attains to nirvana. Many Buddhist authors have derived the word nirvana from the root ri, to cover, interpreting it as that which is quite unobstructed or free. Nirvana is therefore here envisaged as the final stage of the removal of all obstructions of the uncovering process, which formed the theme of number 40 to 41. Let's have a look at what's this number 40 and 41. is doors without thought coverings. 41 in the absence of thought coverings.
Mm.
Number 44 obviously contradicts number 36 and 37. The number 44 is
in the end he attains to nirvana.
Oh,
37 is therefore it is because of his non-attainmentness.
yes,
37
that's true.
and
Yeah.
36 is before. It's no attainment and no non-attainment.
Yes. So attain nirvana, then you attain something, right? So it's exactly. It is just because he seeks no attainment. It is just because attainment is quite impossible that the Bodhisattva attains or wins nirvana. And entrance into nirvana changes him into a Buddha. Maybe let's stop here, right? Next time we just read 7.
Do we continue next week or in 2 weeks?